What are the best weapons in Delta Force? Well, this is an interesting question with a different answer depending on who you ask and at which point in the meta you ask. I'm finally doing a tier list, and today we'll be taking a look only at the rifles to keep the video compact. And to keep it from turning into an hour-long video, I won't be including the builds here. The most up-to-date builds are already on my channel, and they should be easy to search for. I will go in the exact order as they appear in-game, and I will rank them from S to F. Here's the scale. The S tier is crazy good. With a little bit of practice, you can place top 5 easily when you use them right. The A tier is very good, but you may need a little bit more practice because these have some weak spots that the S tier doesn't really have. The B tier is fine when built right, but don't expect to be any of the S or the A tier picks. The C tier is for fun or leveling, so don't expect to get crazy with it. I'm skipping the D tier since it doesn't fit anywhere in the game. And lastly, the F tier is only for weapons that are painful to use because other rifles will do a much better job in just about every instance. Keep in mind that no matter what I say here, almost every weapon in Delta Force is usable when built correctly, and these are simply the opinions of a singular owl who has spent countless hours building and using each one of them. Now let's get into it. The KC-17 is available only to the support class. It has a time to kill of 324 milliseconds when hitting any body part, and 243 milliseconds when only hitting the head, which is a bit slow for a rifle. The bright side is that the KC-17 has somewhat easy to control recoil and extremely fast ADS movement speed. This is actually the rifle with the best ADS movement speed in the game right now, which means that the devs most likely intended it to be used at closer ranges. Yet, because there are better rifles for those closer ranges, as you will see today, you have to be constantly strafing non-stop to take advantage of that insane speed to even get a chance to beat those other rifles using the KC-17. The KC-17 was introduced in Season 5 and it really was not what we had hoped for. It only really deserves a spot in the B tier, and you can use it if you want to be fast, but don't expect to beat any of the A or the S tier rifles in this list. The K437 is available to the Assault class. It has an okay time to kill for a rifle at 308 milliseconds when hitting the upper chest. The major upside for the K437 is that it's one of the easiest guns to control in the game. It has the same style of recoil as the M4A1, but we can customize it to have even less of that recoil while still making sure that our ADS movement speed is the quickest out of any rifle in the S or the A tier without sacrificing anything. The damage fall-off multiplier and the damage profile for the weapon really let you know that it's meant to be used as a close-range weapon. It is also chambered in 300 blackout, so that should have been a hint. Yet the recoil is so easy to control and the rest of the stats are very good, lending itself to be a good rifle at just about any range and any use, like the M4A1, just with better ADS walk-in speeds but slightly slower ADS times. So which of these two you pick is all down to which of the two stats you actually prefer. The K437 used to be insanely overpowered when it was first released, and it would have been at the top of the S tier without any question. So the devs turned down the damage just enough to make sure that it is only deserving of an A tier nomination. The CI-19 is available to the Assault class. It has a time to kill of 255 milliseconds with a default gas block, which is one of the reasons why this weapon is so amazing. Depending on what you want out of it, you can change the gas block and adjust to your playstyle. If you put on the stable gas block, which is my favorite, the time to kill is still 277 milliseconds, which means that you can have better stats overall, but you keep the amazing time to kill for a rifle. That time to kill plus the very little visual recoil and the super predictable real recoil that this weapon has means that we can use the CI-19 right up at the enemy's faces at 0 meters all the way up to even 70 meters and still have an easy time, all while somehow having some of the best ADS times and ADS walking speeds possible on any rifle. The CI-19 does everything that you would ever want, and it does it exceptionally well, and that is why I'm putting it at the very top of the S tier. The AuxOwl or the Asball is available to the Assault class, and it has a time to kill of 247 milliseconds when you land shots anywhere on the body except the arms and the legs. The AuxOwl is really only meant to be used as a short-range rifle for the Assault class because it has the quickest fire rate of any weapon in the rifle category, while also having some of the worst damage drop-off in the game. This makes it more of an SMG than a rifle. It is extremely hard to control due to the recoil pattern and the 972 rounds per minute fire rate, but if you use it as it is intended and keep your engagements under 40 or 50 meters, you'll obliterate most other weapons in the game due to the extremely fast time to kill. It also has great ADS times and ADS movement speed as expected from a weapon that is meant to be used in close quarters. It's a unique rifle that beats out even SMGs at their own game, which makes me think that it deserves a great spot in the A tier. The Car 15 is available to every class. It has a time to kill of 285 milliseconds to the chest, and it's one of the easiest weapons to control in the game. The recoil pattern is mainly vertical with an ever so slight shift to the right halfway through the magazine, and then vertically up again. And because the fire rate is fairly low, it is extremely easy to control. It also has some of the best ADS times and ADS walking speeds that an AR can get, so you can use it in any situation. It's a dangerous weapon because with just a couple of attachments that you unlock very early in the leveling process, you will already fall in love with it and not want to switch to any other weapon. Not only does it have extremely good stats, but you also unlock it at level 1, and as I mentioned, you can use it on any class. This versatility, while still being one of the most powerful guns in the game, is the reason why I believe that it deserves to be on the S tier. The PTR-32 is available to the Assault class and the Recon class. It has a good time to kill of 285 milliseconds when hitting the upper body, and it punishes you for hitting the legs with a 380 millisecond time to kill. Yet, it also rewards you with a 95 millisecond time to kill when you only hit the head. That means that hypothetically, you can do extremely good with this weapon if you land your shots correctly. But it doesn't compare to something like the AUG, for example, so there are just better choices out there. I say this because it has the same style of recoil as the M4A1 or the K437, but it's a lot harder to control due to the visual recoil. And it also has a slower fire rate than the AUG, which can accomplish everything that the PTR can do without having to practice as much due to the high visual shake of the PTR. The ADS speeds are good, but the ADS movement speed is just alright. So, because other weapons are available to the Assault and the Recon class that can do what the PTR can, and with less practice than you would really need with the PTR, I believe it deserves a spot in the C tier. The G3 is available to the Engineer class. It has a surprisingly slow time to kill of 338 milliseconds anywhere to the body due to its slow fire rate. Where it shines is with headshots due to its 52 damage per headshot. This means that you can lower the shots to kill by 1 by mixing in 1 headshot, and getting 2 headshots rewards you with a 113 millisecond time to kill. It also has super easy to control recoil, where it might look a little jumpy, but with a little bit of practice you'll be able to trust where the shots are going and be able to land those headshots confidently even during sustained fire. The ADS times and the ADS movement speed stats are not the craziest possible on a rifle, but if you use this weapon at mid-ranges, you'll definitely melt with it. Because it doesn't punish you at all for hitting extremities and rewards you for hitting the head, along with the easy control and the rest of the stats, this is another great rifle for the Engineer, marking its territory on the A tier. The Scar H is available to the Engineer and the Recon class. It has a time to kill of 308 milliseconds to anywhere on the body, except the lower leg for some reason, which is right around the middle of the rest of the rifles. It does not reward mixing a single headshot in, so to lower the time to kill, you would have to land a minimum of 2 headshots, and that won't be very easy to do quickly due to its slow fire rate of 585 rounds per minute. It is a rifle that has predictable recoil, but to get it to be that predictable, you have to sacrifice a lot of your ADS speed and the ADS movement speed. This means that you are only really able to beat other weapons at medium ranges with the Scar H, but there's already plenty of other weapons available to the Engineer and the Recon classes that can do a much better job at medium ranges. Since there's really no point in using the Scar H over other rifles, I'll have to put it in the C tier. The AK-12 is available to the Assault and the Engineer class. It has a time to kill of 327 milliseconds anywhere on the body. This is quite slow, but it's easily one of the easiest weapons to control in the game overall, combined with barely any visual recoil. The damage multipliers for the AK-12 are a huge upside to it, because if you're looking for a weapon that doesn't penalize you for hitting the arms or the legs, then this is your weapon. This is just about the most consistent rifle in the game. The AK-12 also has decent ADS times and ADS walking speeds so that you can put up a fight in most situations. Being able to use it as an Assault and an Engineer in the same match, depending on your judgment of the match, also makes it extremely useful. This is a do-it-all rifle that doesn't reward or punish you. It has a lot of upsides, and the main downside is just a slow time to kill. All of these factors made me put it in the highest of the A tier. The SG-552 is available to the Assault and the Recon class. It has a time to kill of 331 milliseconds when hitting torso shots, but it heavily rewards you when you hit headshots by decreasing the shots to kill by 1 every time. This means that just by mixing in 1 headshot, it puts the time to kill at 265 milliseconds, and mixing in 2 headshots takes it down to just 199 milliseconds. At the same time, it punishes you with less damage whenever you hit the arms and the legs. It also has what could be considered the easiest recoil to control in the game, even with its extremely high fire rate of 906 rounds per minute, all while having great ADS times and decent ADS walking speeds. This is the type of weapon that could be the best weapon in the game, but I'm hesitant to put it in the S tier because that only applies if you're good enough to land the headshots and make use of its great stats. So I believe it deserves to be in the A tier. The M7 is available to the Assault class and the Engineer class. It has a time to kill of 277 milliseconds, which is right there with the CI-19 when it's using a stable gas block. It's one of those weapons that seems really good on paper, but in practice it can't hang as well as it might seem. It deals 26 damage per shot anywhere to the body, so there's no risk of hurting that good time to kill. It also does 49 damage to the head, which means that if you get a single headshot, your time to kill goes down to just 185 milliseconds, which is amazing. The struggle with this weapon is that it's hard to control and you need a lot of practice to make it worth using over the rest of the weapons in the A and the S tier. The ADS times and the ADS movement speed are decent, but nothing to really rave about, and when you combine that with a difficult recoil and visual recoil, you get a weapon that is a little unwieldy. If you practice with the M7 a lot, then I could see it being an A tier weapon for you, but otherwise for most people, I'll have to put it in the B tier. The AUG is available to the Engineer and the Recon classes. It has a slow time to kill of 353 milliseconds when hitting any part of the body. Where it shines is with headshots. You absolutely need to hit headshots with the AUG, otherwise it's not worth using at all. This is because it deals 50 damage per headshot, which means that you can instantly kill someone if you land 2 shots to the head under 44 meters. This is why sometimes it feels like you're being absolutely obliterated by AUG users, since it really rewards great aim, but heavily punishes bad aim. It also has very little visual recoil and a very predictable recoil pattern, but due to it only having a 30 round magazine or a 60 round magazine, your choices are slim. You either go with great handling but you'll need to reload every few shots, or you go for the 60 round magazine and destroy your stats. Due to the lack of strength at close ranges, unless you hit your headshots under pressure, I believe it deserves a spot in the B tier. But if the AUG ever gets a 45 round magazine, then I'll definitely have to revisit it and perhaps bump it up a tier. The M16A4 is available to every class. The hypothetical time to kill for the M16 is actually decent at 268 milliseconds, but due to it being a burst weapon, we have to account for the reset time in between bursts. This makes its actual time to kill slower than 350 milliseconds when hitting the body. The only way that the M16A4 is worth it is if you get a 1 burst kill, which is only possible if you land 2 headshots at a minimum. It does have some things going for it, such as extremely easy to control recoil due to it being a burst weapon and its very little visual shake, along with great ADS times and ADS movement speed, but the time to kill factor is just too much to get over. Although there is value in all classes being able to use it, it can't beat other rifles unless you get at a minimum 2 headshots per burst. If it is ever buffed to make sure that we only need to land 1 headshot in the 3-shot burst, then I would have to revisit it and maybe I would bump it up to B tier, but for now it's a solid low C tier. The K416 is available to the Assault and Recon, and it's one of the only 5 rifles available to the Support class. The K416 has a great time to kill of only 273 milliseconds to the torso, which as we know by now is very good for rifles. That's due to its low damage but very fast fire rate of 880 rounds per minute. The Support class is known for having the SMGs available to them, and this rifle is an SMG first and a rifle second. This is because of its damage fall-off multiplier, making sure that we only do full damage up to 21 meters. It also has extremely good ADS times and ADS movement speeds. They're some of the best available for any rifle. Combine that with a fairly easy to control recoil, and you notice that it's intended to be used as an SMG that can go a little bit further out. I would not recommend it, but you can even take it out to 60 meters if you absolutely have to. The low damage multiplier when you hit the arms and the legs means that you need to make sure you hit the torso to make use of the great time to kill. It's a fun weapon to use and performs exceptionally well when used correctly, so I have to put it on the A tier. The Ash 12 is available to the Engineer class. It has a wonderful time to kill of only 240 milliseconds to the chest, which would make a lot of people think that it's a great rifle, but I believe it might be the worst in the game. It can only really be used in very niche, short-range engagements due to its insane visual shake and horrible recoil. There's no way to really control this thing at reasonable rifle ranges, so you're stuck to below 50 meters at maximum unless you have an ungodly amount of practice on the Ash 12. It also has subpar ADS speeds speeds and ADS movement speed compared to other rifles, and I believe that adding an extra attachment slot might help a lot with its current issues. This is the type of weapon that is only really usable if you enjoy it for reasons outside of the game, or if you want to be that one person that only uses the AUX-12, because there are other weapons that do so much better than the AUX-12 in every single possible situation. I believe it is a strong F-tier rifle. The AKS-74 is available to every class, and it has a time to kill of 338 milliseconds, which is right up there with the worst time to kill rifles. The fact that it is unlocked so early and can be used by every single class in the game definitely keeps it away from the C tier. The main issue with the AKS is just that it doesn't know what it wants to be. It has high damage but only 30 meters of range. It also has a slow fire rate and easy to control recoil, but at the same time it can provide you with just about the best possible ADS speed and very high ADS movement speeds, all while having almost no visual recoil. So it doesn't seem to know if it wants to identify as an SMG or an AR. We can't really use it in close ranges because of the bad time to kill, so you absolutely have to land headshots to make it useful, but it has great handling stats. Yet it also doesn't have the damage fall-off multipliers of a long-range weapon. It is a fun one to use and definitely not as bad as I would have suggested in the past, but I don't see it beating any weapon in the A or the S tier, and therefore I have to place it in the B tier. The QBZ-95 is available to the Assault class and the Engineer class. It has a time to kill of 265 milliseconds, which puts it right up there with the quickest rifles in terms of time to kill. It was also recently buffed, so now it's easier to control than ever by just slightly pulling down and to the left. It used to be that the handling stats for it made it so that it's not really worth using, but after they introduced the 45-round magazine compatible with the QBZ, it immediately got better. The devs want the QBZ to succeed, and they have done it. The visual recoil is still a little bit high for the weapon, and the ADS times and the ADS movement speeds are not the best thing ever, but the great time to kill and the ease of the recoil pattern can't be understated. It is also a great weapon to switch to whenever you need to switch to Engineer to destroy vehicles or to defend corridors. For these reasons, I have put the QBZ-95 on the A tier as a great weapon to use. The AKM is available to the Assault class with a time to kill of just 200 milliseconds to the upper chest. This makes it the rifle with the quickest time to kill in the game. Before Season 5, I considered it to be one of the worst weapons in the game, but it got a huge damage buff during the Season 5 update. It's easy to control the AKM within 60 meters, and it could easily put up a fight for the best gun in the game due to the extremely low time to kill for a rifle. This is also the only weapon in the game that has the perfect first shot hipfire accuracy when not moving by using the AKM Performance Barrel combo, which also makes it an amazing candidate for hipfire builds while sacrificing nothing. Combine all of those factors with its great handling stats when using the 30-round upgraded magazine, and you've got another S-tier weapon. The M4A1 is available to the Assault class, and it has a decent time to kill of 300 milliseconds. This puts it right in the middle of most rifles, and that's a sign of things to come. Even after the latest nerf to the M4A1, it still has very little visual recoil, and it has easy to manage real recoil. You just need a little practice to go further out than 70 meters. The M4 also has great ADS times and ADS movement speeds, but not as high as they could be. This means that it doesn't have any real downsides in any aspect, but it also doesn't excel at anything in particular. Yet, the consistency that we can find with the M4A1 due to its ease of use, and the fact that it is a perfect rendition of the saying, "Jack of all trades, master of none," is often better than a master of one, makes me think that it is a solid A-tier contender. And that wraps up this rifle tier list. As you can see, most weapons in this game are actually usable, but there are definitely some that stand out. Now it is your turn. Do you agree with my list, or maybe you disagree with any of my placements? Let me know what you think and why in the comments down below, because I'm sure that you will have a lot of thoughts about this. Lastly, if you need any of the builds for these rifles, I have one for every weapon in the game in this playlist. And now, I'll see you on the next one. AuxOwl out.